Good morning! Welcome to the Good Life meditation for today. Let's jump right into it. This is my daily activity of reminding myself of my 6 objectives and my 20 principles. And I do this in order to stay focused on these and to pick through them, to find where the errors may be, and hopefully to improve them or get rid of them outright if they're not worth keeping. So first, my first objective is to be always ready to die. So I've talked last week about how I found that I wasn't really ready to die financially. Well, I'm ready to die financially. My family will be okay with life insurance, but if I don't quite die, if I get really sick, that's a little tougher. So I started a quest down the road of catastrophic, disability insurance, and that led me to a new life, a new auto insurance policy. So that's an ambition of I'm setting out for San Francisco, and I somehow made it to Atlanta. So not where I wanted to go, but it's a good place anyway, because I've been meaning to do my auto anyway. So that's a good new piece of the puzzle that I'm proud of. I'm really glad I moved to a new insurance company that I really like, that has great reviews. And best of all, I've got an insurance agent right in my neighborhood. I can go down and see. Joseph's my man now. I'm no more dealing with this stuff online, and I'm really happy with that choice. And I also did talk to their life insurance specialist, but they don't have anybody that does the catastrophic stuff. So I continue my search. So I will, if anybody knows any good companies, MetLife. I have good reason from recent news to maybe consider MetLife. So actually, I'm going to look into MetLife for the catastrophic stuff, and that is directly due to news over the weekend that I heard about MetLife. But I'll leave that at that. So in terms of personally, am I ready to go? Yeah, I think so. I think I had a really good weekend, had really good quality time with my family. Very pleased with all of that. I think if we left right now, like I left my father when he died, I kind of left some things unsaid. There were a couple things that I could have put a bow on better before he was gone. I think if I crash right now and die, I don't think that there's much of that much unfinished business with my wife and daughter. Even my mom, I had a really good talk with her as well. So that's good. And artistically, yeah, I'm in good shape. I did another rev of Going Alone. It's in the best shape ever. So, and it's available now, with that new revision. So next, number 2 is making good use of time. I am really nailing this one lately, and this has turned out to be one of the most powerful principles. I'm finding it's always on my mind, asking myself, is this a good use of time? Is that a good use of time? And I'm really milking the days for quality lately on every front, and that's because it's simply becoming foremost in my mind to ask myself, and I'm looking forward to that at work too. I'm actually doing much better at work. I'm looking forward to a very productive day today. Number 3 is the development and maintenance of good, sound life principles. That's the 6 and 20. Yeah, I'm definitely working hard on that, and that was part of the thing on Friday. I worked really hard. I had the day off. I was home. When I wasn't doing the insurance stuff, I went across the street from where we lived to the Marriott and got a coffee and sat in their lobby and worked on defining better my 6 and 20 on paper. And that's in the book Going Alone. So I revised that. So yeah, I'm pleased with that too. So if it sounds like I'm just having a little pleasure party here, that's not my goal. My goal is not to sit here and affirm myself all day long. My goal is to find where things are bad. I'll get to that. So next is good emotional reactions. Cultivating good emotional reactions. Yeah, that's just to be in better control of my emotions, so that things I don't fly off the handle. Had 2 incidents over the weekend. I can't quite remember what they were. Oh, I remember one of them. One of them was being at the shopping mall, the outlet center, which I hate shopping. And usually my wife and daughter are keenly aware that that's the case, but even though if I'm trying to hold it in, because I kind of give it out, that stereotypical man doesn't want to shop thing. And I actually was able to control it in such a way, in such a way that my wife and daughter definitely felt at ease. And to kind of let me hang out with the dog outside and just enjoy the sunshine. Well, they enjoyed their shopping, and it wasn't like you know, like, oh, I'll just sit here, you guys go shopping, take your time. It was sincerely made it clear to them, I'm really enjoying this sunshine on this bench. I've got some things I want to do. I'm going to sit with the dog, and you guys go and enjoy yourself. And they did. And that was a good control of emotional reactions, being in a place that I didn't necessarily want to be. And actually I leveraged, you know, one of the last objective, which is true limits and true opportunity, and I specifically asked myself, what are my limits here at this mall, and what are my opportunities? And I made good use of that. So I guess my pleasure party continues. The next one is the performance of good actions, just doing good things through the day. And then, as I said before, number 6, the sixth objective, is to recognize true limits and true opportunity. And just to touch on that one again, the limit was that I recognized that I don't enjoy shopping. I don't enjoy the crowds. I'm not interested in the things that are for sale. I don't want to. I have no interest in spending money. The foods, you know, not anything that I'm interested in. But I recognized this was a great opportunity for me to find a niche for myself that I could enjoy, and also to facilitate my wife and daughter being comfortable in that moment, and me being there to support that fact, and to maybe, for example, find a way that something that we did like having breakfast together and then lunch together, that would be pleasurable. And I leveraged the limit and opportunity into a plan for while I was at the mall, at the outlet center in San Clemente, that worked out really good. So there you go. Those are my 6 objectives and some examples of using them, and mostly it was pretty successful this weekend. Now it's now my and I attribute that very, very much to what I'm doing right now. The fact that I'm verbally speaking out these objectives right here and then uploading it, that really is causing these things to become part of my life. Next, the first principle is the principle of war. To go to war with everything that I hold dear, to make sure that it's sound and worth believing. And I always pick something, one of my objectives or principles, to kind of pick apart in this process. Let's go now to the home of good and evil. So the home of good and evil is one of my principles, and I do this in order to remind myself, I have this as one of my principles in order to remind myself that good and evil are not something that are called down from some authority above, because there's no evidence there's any authority above. There's no 10 commandments, no Ark of the Covenant anywhere, you know, divine commandments inscribed by any god or gods that we're required to follow. That instead we need to work that out for ourselves. That it's laziness that makes us want to find someone else to do the hard work. Is my bike okay? Feels like it's acting up a little bit. It's laziness to do that, and I can't shirk that responsibility. I have to do it myself. 70 miles an hour, 4,000 RPMs, just doesn't feel quite the same. I hope the bike's okay. One of these days it's going to stop working on this ride. Maybe today. This would be a bad place right here. Just suddenly stop working. So next, okay, so yeah, so I think that's a very good, that's a good thing to keep as one of my principles. What are the possible negatives of that? Oh, well, the negative would be, what if I'm wrong? You know, what if it really is a God out there that's got this design and plan, and I keep reminding myself that there is no such thing, and that I can make it up myself? I'm going to be in trouble for that. So that's one of the reasons I keep up my activity of, for example, I read the Bible every day. I'm curious about religions. Try to listen with an open mind. I'll keep that radar open just in case I'm missing something, but so far no good reason whatsoever to believe any of that's true. So I'm left holding the bag on my own to develop my own definition of good and evil. So no, next, reason, number 2. Reason is the utility that I use to determine what is right and wrong, and what makes sense and what's true. And the sub-principles are honesty and objectivity, which of course you have to look at the world honestly and with an objective frame of mind to discern what is true. Otherwise, things what other measure could you possibly use to determine what is true? Gut feeling, gut reaction, just faith? No, faith will get you anywhere, to any belief you want. Gut feeling, that can lead you anywhere as well. The only reliable way to discern what is true in the world is to empirically be objective, and then to be honest with ourselves about the results. And if they don't show what our pet belief is true, then we have to give it up. Next is 3, the homunculus. I describe a little man that lives inside my head, that peeks out through my eyes. And the importance of the homunculus is to remind myself that like me, the homunculus will die when I die. Like my liver will stop working, so too will the homunculus. When my heart stops, electricity stops in my head. I've got a few minutes of activity up there before that ceases as well. And then the homunculus is gone. Everything in my world is gone. And I believe that, and I haven't quite touched on it more, there's kind of a veil of relevance that lifts in the moments and maybe even days or weeks leading up to that, when we're disconnected from all of this relevance and we're really in touch with the great indifference. What a cold, scary place that must be. Or maybe not. Maybe absolutely not scary. Interesting. But like I said, I haven't explored that very well. New idea. Excuse me. Pardon me. Next, a home of good and evil. I talked about that already. So that's number 4. Number 5 is purpose. My purposes are, my purpi are 2. I'm purpi that say, biology, which is of course a natural science, but I use the word biology also to describe the mandate that we have to create more of ourselves, to survive and create more of ourselves. So that seems a very clear objective purpose in life. Outside of that, I can't see any other objective purposes, so I make up my own. And my purpose is to live a virtuous life, to be a good man, where virtue is the improvement of well-being. Better education, improved health care, better communication, all these various things that, make clean drinking water, good sanitation, all these things that make life better. This is virtue, the pursuit of virtue. And evil is the pursuit of anything that's not along those lines. Evil is the deliberate negation of virtuous ends. So someone that deliberately seeks to, for example, soil the drinking water, or inhibit equal access to education or health care for various reasons, or whatever malicious reasons. That's evil. Now, next is the principle number 6 is the atomic principle. Everything in the universe is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming, and so too you and me, like sands through the hourglass. We will fall to bits when we die. Remember when I found that human femur out in the desert 2 years back, and I went back, even though I kept telling the sheriff about it, they never made it out there. I kept going back and finding it, and every time it would be a little more decomposed. It was amazing to see a human bones dissolving to dust in the desert, and it really reminded me of this atomic principle of how we are, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Clearly, that process has been observed many times. And that analogy arrived at. Next, a principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what it is. It's the nature of the birds flying over my head to be busy and active if they're day birds in the morning, rushing about, warming up their bodies, getting up their breakfast, and then maybe taking it easy in clusters and to chatty and to poop on the ground, or maybe poop on my head. Simplistic nature of them, and it's good to recognize what that is. So I will walk under wires to look up to see if anybody's going to poop on my head. Less surprised. But it's good to recognize the nature of things like at my work. What are the nature of my coworkers or meetings or projects that I'm on, so that I can work in better accord with that. For example, I'm having a very important meeting today. Before that meeting, I'll have to ask myself about the nature of the man that I'm meeting today. What are his characteristics and qualities that I can interact better with him, and what is the nature of the message that I want to convey? And I only have a short 15 minutes to do it, a little bit of an elevator pitch, so I have to prepare myself to deal with him as best I can, understanding him, and to also keep on target with my message, while also being social and congenial. Is that the right word? Yeah. Next is maturity. Wisdom and fortitude are the sub-principles. Maturity is that state of having the wisdom of years of experience, of trial and error, and also the gumption to to keep push forward despite what we want to do towards what we know we should do, what is better. It's a very powerful thing to have. It takes a lot of time to get there. Well, the fortitude part can be learned at an early age, but the wisdom part takes trial and error. Next is social principle. We're social animals. We need one another to survive. So if you can, look after doing things that better as many as possible. Next is the Feast of Offal, the waste and byproduct that we give out. Whoa, look at that guy. The waste and byproduct that we give out in the course of our life. That's like, okay, what if I get mad at that guy? It's like, gosh darn him, you know, look what he's doing. It's so dangerous. He's endangering kids and stuff, which is a good, honest response, but not a very productive one. Because he's giving out something's going on there, that he's being unreasonable and unsociable, endangering all of us. Something's given out. He's being intemperate, and I'm consuming that motorcycle rider's intemperate action and getting mad myself. So imagine it's like all the waste that he's giving out, and I'm consuming it. Now I'm getting mad and I'm giving it out, and I'm going to go to work and have my first meeting in a bad mood and pass it along to everyone else. So instead of indulging in that feast, I try to recognize when the offal comes my way, as I just did, and to not consume it and not pass it along. I have 10 more to do real quick. Next is Temperance, number 11. Temperance is our controlled consumption of all things. This is just witnessed by the example of the controlled consumption of my anger at that motorcyclist for his reckless behavior and endangerment of all of us. But I also try to do that, but also trying to do something about it also. It's not a matter of just giving up and rolling over. I'll get to that in a moment. So it's also with regard to temperance, with regard to food, drink, work, play, all these things, including our consumption of emotions. Next is agency and the great indifference. All living things are agents. Things that are not alive are the face of the great indifference, which is the fact that the universe doesn't seem to give a damn. It's a universe without God. It's a recognition of that there appears to be no agency beyond our life. And that if we want to find comfort, love, peace, companionship, and care, we need to turn to one another for that. So making supplications to an invisible agent, agent that doesn't seem to exist. Or may be kind of comforting in a way, but they really won't get you very far. Well, maybe they will in kind of the placebo way. Next is the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with just who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, all the while moving towards a better situation. It's like a tightrope walker, being at peace as he balances high above the street, yet at the same time moving forward, step by step, carefully moving forward. That's what that one's all about. Next is the Path of Wildness. The Path of Wildness is a trick to get unstuck when we recognize that a tough decision is at hand, that we decide to give ourselves a little bit of time to think about it, to gather the facts, and when that time is up, we make our decision. And if we don't have enough facts, then by gosh, we'll give ourselves a little more time if we can afford to. Eventually, we come to a point where we can't be giving ourselves time indefinitely. We have to make a decision, and we decide when that is. If we still don't have enough facts, then allow ourselves to be informed of our gut influence and move forward, recognizing that we may be walking right off the edge of a cliff, but also recognizing that there's virtue in forward motion sometimes in a life that is not that infinite. Sometimes you can just while away your time until your old age and realize you never move forward for lack of having enough information. And what have you lost in the process? What have you gained in the process? Maybe what you gained, the security, is the worthwhile trade-off for you. That's for you to decide. Next is the risk of avoiding risk. There's the surface level risks of life and the deep risks of life. And like I say before last week, the hippies were onto something. There is something to be said for attending to, finding yourself, but not at the expense of the surface level securities of education, a good job, finding someone to spend your life with, and saving some money. Those things are indeed important, but try to find a balance between those two. And then also in addition to those things, give yourself some adventures to become an interesting person, to explore the world, to make a lot of mistakes, maybe even die. I think you'll be more satisfied in the long run if you give yourself both satisfy both the deep and surface level risks. Next is sin and damnation. There are 5 sins in my worldview. They're all basically the same thing. These are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, and dogma. And I always race through these, but let me just focus on one. Let me just focus on falsity. Falsity is simply believing things that are not true. Just basically accepting things without running them through the ringer of critical evaluation. And you may get lucky and believe something that is actually true, even though you haven't done so. But if you don't have the process and the requirement to verify things, then you have no way of really knowing, and you run the risk of believing things that are not true. The consequence of that is, and I'll cover the others in turn in subsequent days, the consequence of that is damnation. Damnation in the here and now, because there appears to be no afterlife, where you have to live a life believing things that are untrue. That's a damnable state in my book. Next is complete oblivion. When we die, there's appears to be no afterlife, so that means that there's no chance we're going to have reunion with the people that we left behind or who follow us after death, and we have no reconciliation with those that we left on sour terms with, and there's no final justice for those that did bad things that were not punished. So if you want to, you want to get back together with people that you're separated from, or you reconcile your differences, or right some wrongs, do it in the here and now while you have the chance. It doesn't appear that there's going to be any opportunity for that later. Nor will we care after we're dead, so maybe that's okay too, but that's a whole deeper subject. Man, you end up like a Buddhist monk, just sitting against a tree with an erect back, staring out, going, at peace with everything. But we need to take care of the little ones, right? I don't know how. That's a tricky one to do. We can't all be Zen Buddhist monks. So you gotta do the rest. So I guess my good life philosophy is for it's not a philosophy for Buddhist monk types. It's a philosophy for family types, people that want to have a spouse and a kid and move forward and work a working day life. Now almost done. We did a complete oblivion. Next is the Great Life Adventure, and there's my business. I've got this down. I've almost got it down, but I kind of raced through the last 10. The Great Life Adventure is a time to there's my building. It's a time to have an adventure. A great adventure. A great life adventure. So something to mark on the calendar, the great calendar of our lives, saying, I did this thing then. It's the type of thing like the World War II vets came back, the ones that survived, and all their life they'll have the big adventure. It was a tragedy. Of course, it was a war, so I'm not discounting that. But it was also something that was a great milestone in their life. They could reflect on. It was when their character was developed. They became men and women when they, in the face of adversity, and came back and became the greatest generation, so to speak, right? So, I mean, give yourself something like that as well. Don't go to war necessarily. If try to, let's not do that. If you have to, you have to. But go travel. Go get educated. Go to strange nightclubs where they play music you'd never imagined. Make friends that speak foreign languages and think differently. All those kinds of things that develop our character and personality and widen our worldview. And if you can, give yourself a whole decade to do that kind of stuff, the decade of the 20s, which is also the decade to get educated. Go for your master's degree if you can. And when you're done with that, then you can settle down with a spouse and family and a career and start saving money and all those good things. But give yourself that, and I guarantee you'll become a far more fascinating person, and you'll you'll enjoy your later years a lot more. You'll have like I like to say, you'll be the most fascinating person at the cocktail party because you'll have so many stories. But don't overdo it. I've been usually parking in this spot, but I'm finding that it's also a tricky one to get the bike up on the center stand because it kind of leans up. So here we go. So that's that Great Life Adventure. So give yourself one big one, and then as many small ones along the way as you possibly can, and I think you'll find that investment will pay beautiful and dearly appreciated dividends throughout life. Next is the season of philosophy. That comes at a time in life when it's time for us to record what we learned along the way and set that down to share. And when the muse speaks, record what the muse is saying. don't let it pass. And I've got my head turned like this because I want to finish this real quick. So I think my coworkers are coming down, so I want to get the helmet off real quick so I can say hi. So let me just finish off real quick. The Great Life Adventure, the Season of Philosophy, record the music way I can, because if you don't do it, you'll lose it and it'll be gone, and your chance will be gone, especially as you get older, and it starts diminishing pretty early in life. I wish I could talk more about that. I was thinking about that this weekend. And finally, the arena in utility. Life is an arena for the execution of and development of our principles and objectives, which hang like tools on a tool belt. Oh, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to say hi to my coworker. Oh, well, that happens sometimes. See, I'm trying to be social. That's the social principle. Even though I'm not necessarily that social, I really do try, and I make it a good effort, because I spend my day, a good portion of my life, in this building here with lots of people, and I need to be social. But sometimes you just kind of wrap this up, so that's it. So I'll get a chance. I'll go by their desk and say hi. I don't know who it is. You guys have a great day. Make it a good day. Make it a great day. Make it a good life. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.